It's important for me to be able to work from anywhere, and I'm going to share with you some tips and insights to do just that. It is Sunday, and I have laundry going at the laundromat from my work clothes that we were working out on that land project. And, I've got about 30 minutes to do something useful. Now, I've got my backpack over here, and I was just thinking about how I'm prepared to work pretty much anywhere and how that has been a universal value in my internal peak performance and my ability to serve clients. So first off, I'm Justin Hitt with Inside Strategic Relations, and this is also appropriate for my newsletter, Ad Briefings, Copywriting Tips. Now, I'm in the content business, but I'll share with you some tips that are also useful for selling professionals, for project managers, and other individuals who are in a professional capacity. Now, I'm in my truck. I've got a tripod set up right here. I've got my backpack there, and then I have an outline of different types of things that I work on. I particularly create podcasts, and I create content for my website. And for example, if the audio is no good on this, I'll just have it transcribed and put it in a book or use it as part of our peak performance program. But the key to getting the most productivity out of your time is twofold. Number one, you want work productivity, but you also want mental well-being and the capacity to be expanded. So if you're under a high level of stress and you are frustrated, your mental capacity diminishes. It's under emotional distress, your IQ lowers if you haven't slept well. So the first priority when you have free time is to be able to rest, perhaps even meditate. Now, I don't know if I'll be able to put the clip in here, but yesterday I was on a project on site. We're out in the middle of the woods working on the project, and I was a little bit early. I got my pre-prep work done. Now, how did I get my pre-prep work done? Well, before I even showed up on the site, I had a plan. So one thing you can do when you have free time is to write your plan for the next couple of days. But I was on site. I had finished all my work. What I basically ended up doing for probably 30 minutes is meditating, some martial arts practice, a little bit of stretching, a little qigong activity to kind of just get my mental state up. Because even though I had a long day ahead of me and I had pretty good rest, I wasn't doing anything else with that time. Now, I could have done paperwork. I could have done a video for you guys. I could have done a lot of things. But again, that foundational fill-in-the-blank item that requires no materials, no practice, nothing, could be prayer and meditation. It could just be thankful for what's going on. It could simply be a quiet meal. So peak performance isn't about constantly doing something work-related. It is about the renewing of your mind and improving your overall capacity for performance. Because you can't reach peak performance if you're physically not there. So if you've got something that's troubling you, you could journal. I carry my journal with me all the time. I carry a notebook, my planning notebook. I carry a phone. Most of us have these little iPhones, so I carry a phone. When I work with clients, they usually do expect me to talk about how to be more productive at work. And they don't expect me to say, well, if you sleep better and you get better nutrition and you find ways to clear your mind and to plan your day, that productivity just magically happens. Now, it only happens to a certain point, but hear me out. If you're able to think clearly, you're able to create a better plan. If you're able to have rest and energy, you're able to implement that plan more consistently. A good thing that you can do is correspondence. Now, a lot of folks are twittering on their little phones and stuff, but a good friend of mine and mentor actually carries postcards or index cards in his pocket, and he'll write a little personal note on that, and then he can put it in an envelope when he gets back to the office and mail it to somebody. He can give a stack of cards to his assistant, who will put it in envelopes and print addresses on the front of it or type addresses on the front. And so now he gets all of his sales follow-up done during the quiet time. So you show up a little early for an appointment, you sit down, write a few handwritten notes to folks. When they get back to the office, they all get mailed out, and you've made that other connection. Now, I know a lot of folks have this phone and they're addicted to checking email, checking social media, watching YouTube videos, all those things. Those are unproductive activities. Now, you have to excuse me, there's a train going by. See, the environment doesn't have to be the perfect environment to be productive, but if you're prepared for productivity, then when you are in any environment, you can be more productive. So in this case, if you are distracting yourself with entertainment, with just filling in the blanks, that's not productivity. Productivity comes from deliberate activities. So I know from my newsletter that if I do a newsletter article, or I do a podcast video, or I do some kind of activity like that, that's perpetual. This video, people will watch this video 20 years from now. So it's a good investment on my time. Plus, recording this presentation for 15 minutes or so gives my staff something to transcribe, which they can turn into articles. So we want to find those pinnacle activities. So good sleep is a pinnacle activity because you wake up alert, you're ready to go, you eat a good breakfast, you kiss the spouse goodbye, and you say hi to the kids, and you have that quality time. Those are factors that save you time in the future, that are investments in an outcome rather than just another hour at work. Now, in a business world, they're going to tell you that increased productivity is coming in early and staying late. It's that one more email. It's that one more project follow-up. That's not necessarily in your best interest. It is peak productivity for the company, but not necessarily in your best interest. So like I was saying, a lot of clients will say, Justin, help me be more productive. We'll talk about their home life first. And they'll say, I didn't come here for counseling. I came here for the workplace productivity. I said, well, wait a second. What are you thinking about while you're at work? Well, very often they're thinking about their family. Why do you go to work in the first place? They're thinking about their family. Why do you want this promotion? What are you going to do with the money? They're going to use it with their family. Okay, well, let's make sure the family understands that so they don't give you extra flack because you're working extra hours. And then if you're going to work for extra hours, are you working those extra hours that increase the pay, that get you more responsibility, that frees up time so you can go so you can be there when the family needs you? See, I've seen executive after executive, manager after manager, white collar worker after white collar worker, knowledge worker after knowledge worker, bust their butt putting out fires for an organization, and then finally get to go on vacation and spend time with the family, because that's the only reason they're working in the first place. And then what happens? The boss calls them up and says they got to come back to the office. Okay? I get in trouble in my environment sometimes because I say, look, I'm going on vacation. I'll be gone for 2 weeks. I might spend 3 months making sure no fires happen while I'm gone for 2 weeks. And then they say, well, how can I reach you? You can't. What do you mean I can't reach you? I'm going to be on vacation. Well, if something breaks, nothing's going to break. If something breaks, I didn't do my job prepping for that vacation. So I'm leave behind procedurals. I'm going to make sure my work's up to date. I'm going to make sure that I've not idled down my activity, but I've got good coverage with multiple individuals. I had this one manager, not so good of a manager. I come back in the workplace. Now, remember, I'm teaching these methods. I'm helping clients make hundreds of millions of dollars a year. I'm managing a lot of teams. I worked on a project. I had a $35 million portfolio that dropped $1.5 million. So it's a revolving portfolio of projects. And a project will finish up at the rate of $1.5 million a day. Okay? And then then this other boss comes along and says, well, you were gone for 2 weeks and we really didn't notice any problems. There was really no problems. I said, exactly. That's the plan. And they said, well, we're not sure if we need you. And I was like, okay, if you don't think you need me, that's fine. But here are the people who, when I got back, contacted me and provided me status reports of what's going on. Now, a real bad manager is going to say, well, they don't work for you. I said, but they were my coverage. And when they go on vacation, I cover them. And so, they just gave me an update where we are. They hand the work back. I'm back into work. There were no fires because it's designed that way. And yet we still made productive numbers. See, that was another manager came back and said, if you get a bad manager, I want to make sure you know how to get out of that. Because another manager at another time said, look, our sales productivity did not go down when you were gone for 2 weeks. I'll often take a big vacation, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, something like that. I've been off a month before because I got stuff to do other than just show up at work or show up on client jobs. But here's my point. I'm gone for 2 weeks. They say productivity didn't change. We, in fact, sold more while you were gone. And I say, okay, well, show me the accounts. And they said, well, I don't need to show you the accounts. We sold more. I said, well, let me show you the accounts that I knew closed. My jobs, my pipeline closed while I was gone. And I'm splitting commissions with these people, and I'm still making as much commission as I did before I left. The reason productivity didn't go down is because we just happened to have a lot of things closed while I was out. Well, you shouldn't have gone out if you're going to close these deals. But I closed these deals even though I'd gone out. Again, I'm not just working the 8 hours a day, and you shouldn't be just working the 8 hours a day. You should be preparing, sleeping, eating good food, using these little short times to follow up with clients. Again, you don't have to call them on the phone, even though people call me all the time and kind of catch up. But it's that having a few high value activities ready to go at any given time, so that if you have 45 minutes waiting for laundry to dry at a laundromat, or you're instead of sitting and watching TV or catching up on an episode of your favorite show, you are now using this time to have pretty much isolation. Nobody talks to me at the laundromat. I am sitting in a truck, cars are going by and stuff, but I'm not getting interrupted. I recorded a podcast earlier that I had on my list of things to do, and I was going to sit down and do some writing, but my laptop doesn't quite set up here. I had dinner off the tailgate of the truck, chilling and relaxing. Sometimes I prefer to take my clothes to the laundromat and do the laundry myself, because it's kind of it's not the home office, it's not the client site. It is an isolated place where nobody's going to interrupt me. So now I can get a few things done. Sometimes I might just call my parents. I might call friends. It's just, I've been doing this for so long. The best way to teach it is to maintain an inventory of your high priority activities. Those activities that contribute directly to deliverables and the outcomes that you desire, both personally and professionally. Because when you're really in an executive position, there's just your lifestyle. There isn't a personal life and a public life. There's just lifestyle. And if the balance is not right, then over time it'll start wearing you down. I'm in an environment pretty much all the time where if I need to just take a nap or I want to take a nap, I can just do it. So in this vehicle right now, if I want to take a nap, I pull the seat, like I know this now already. I pull the seat forward, I throw the seat back, I put something over my head to block the light, and I go to sleep. I'm not worried about what anybody's going to think. I'm not worried about, my safety, because I've already checked out that situation. I'm not worried about anything other than I want to do what I want to do, so I do it. So again, your health, your nutrition, your mental well-being, your spiritual well-being, that is the foundation for the outcomes you'll achieve in a professional life. In your professional life, your communications, your relationship building, your planning, scheduling, your follow-ups, those are high-value activities. If I go into work on Monday knowing exactly what I need to do because Friday afternoon I had a few extra minutes. Now, you're going to schedule blocks. We already talked in another program about scheduling blocks of time for planning. But if I had a few minutes and I just made sure my plan, both workplace and home, was clean, when I show up Monday, I can get right to work, okay? I don't have to worry about what am I supposed to be doing today. I got it in advance. Now, do I always do this? Not necessarily. Sometimes I will just sit there and listen to a podcast. So if I'm driving someplace and it takes an hour and a half to drive, I might listen to a 45-minute podcast or depending what's going on. And if I complete it early, listening to some music, I get there and I might listen to another one because I'm just breathing, I'm relaxing, I'm catching up on that kind of education. But I do watch YouTube, sometimes too much. I do watch movies, but it's in the schedule to do so. It is not necessarily even a reward for what it's doing. It's a curiosity. Like I watched the series Peripheral. I thought that was pretty interesting. And I just watched one episode a week and I put it on my calendar and I got it done. But again, those unscheduled free times are going to make the difference. Are there books you want to read to help you improve your skills? Are there people you want to make sure know you still exist and you want a tactful meaning touch, way of connecting with them, so you can use the postcards, you can use the letter in your pocket? Do you have some follow-up items associated with work? I have sat down and used my planner and text everybody I need to meet next week. Hey, I'm looking forward to seeing you next week. Our meeting such and such a day. I don't rely always on the email automation. I want a personal touch. I might do video, and a couple other high performance people I know do this. I might do a video message for somebody, and I might record 8 to 10 video messages, and then simply have them all sent out when I get back to the office. Again, what can you be doing in the small amounts of time that multiply value? And what can you be doing that supports both your personal and work objectives? And finally, do you have those structured in advance so that you have the right materials with you? You'll see I'm carrying around a backpack all the time. I used to have a briefcase. Different office spaces will have like a organizing box that has a tickler file in it, and the tickler file contains packaged projects. I've talked about this in organizing information. I have a file cabinets where stuff's filed in and their projects ready to go. So for example, I'm finishing off a revision of establishing instant credibility, and there's grammar associated with that. I'm going through Grammarly, and the editors are going through things. I have that for when I'm in my conference room workspace, and I use a remote desktop to go to a system. Now I can access it from different computers in the house in case one computer fails, but ultimately there isn't anything getting in the way of me being able to work. And that work is on myself, building up my skills, building up my abilities, as well as on my client work itself. Now, will I deliberately sit down on a client assignment in my truck somewhere? No. I'm going to do client work in an office, focusing on the client work. Am I going to carry around confidential information or other information that could compromise a client account? No. That has to be secured and handled properly. Am I going to try to have a business conversation when I only got 15 minutes in a place that's not optimal for a business conversation, meaning I'm not able to spread paperwork out and work with that client and have their files at my fingertips? No, I'm not going to do that. Again, follow-up, relationship building, touch points, scheduling, written correspondence, outlines for articles and content, drafting of marketing campaigns at the draft level, not finishing those. I'm going to lock myself in a quiet room to finish a marketing campaign. I might walk around the room and read that out loud. I make sure I have, again, an inventory of valuable activities so that I'm investing in myself, building my capabilities, and ultimately delivering peak performance at all times. Don't let the cell phone distract you. Use it as a tool, like I'm using it right now to record a video. Also, don't have frivolous activities. So let's say it's you and your kid, and this happens, and I plan activities to do. If my kid watches this, he'll now know that I plan 3 or 4 things we can do in case we show up early. And one of them might just be, hey son, how's your day? I actually will even look over his schoolwork before we get in the vehicle, so we have something positive to talk about in the vehicle. And if the schoolwork isn't up to par, we don't do that because that makes somebody feel trapped. If I'm going to meet people at a meeting, I'm going to go through my dossier, my contact manager on each of those individuals, and I'm going to make sure that I have something useful to talk about. Again, strategic relationships come from preparedness and the development of your own capabilities. Having lists in your head so that when you have a little bit of free time, you can just pull up an activity, puts you leaps and bounds ahead of other people. Before we go, just one last exercise. The next time you're waiting on your kid at a soccer game or you're in between something, look at the people to see whether they're actually at the game engaged, or are they working on frivolous activities. Are they contributing value, or are they distracted and off at work, not even there? I want you to be where you want to be. I want you to be able to have value from it. So chat with my kid about and say, hey, look, I'm proud of you for doing such and such in school. You've done a great job. Or saying, hey, is there anything you need help with? That is just as valuable as following up with a client on $1 million or $500,000 deal. Do you understand that? Because you can't get some of this time back. And the time is ticking away whether you are using it productively or not. So this is about a culture of production that builds your personal self, your business influence, and then ultimately grows your business relationships. Now we can go on this with practical examples. We could do a whole workshop on this, or I could help you with your calendar itself and go over the particular things that are going on your days. There's going to be times when you are more productive to do certain activities. We can help you with that time blocking. We can also help you with that approach, because again, a lot of clients will want to be more productive at work, not realizing that work will not reward them when they could be productive in a personal area or a family area as well as work, which all those will synergistically work together to get them to peak performance more consistently, more clearly. There isn't a gimmick or a new app to put on your phone. There is becoming a better person, becoming a more productive person. There is improving your focus and the direction you want to go. That's the way it works. Everybody's distracted by the secrets when there are no secrets other than just improving your mental capacity and improving your focus. And granted, I get distracted very easily, yet I still am able to condition my behavior in order to get a tremendous amount of results. And I want that for you as well. I'm Justin Hitt with Inside Strategic Relations. I'm sure my laundry's dry by now. I'm going to go check on it, but this is the end of the presentation. I didn't even have to rush to finish the presentation. Look, when you gain these skills, it will annoy people because you'll just do whatever the hell you want, and you'll keep, like, life is a blessing. It just keeps magically, blessings keep coming to you because, again, you've worked within the reality of the world and you've prepared, and your good luck actually comes from that preparation. Again, I'm Justin Hitt with Inside Strategic Relations. You can ask questions or join me for a consultation at www.insidestrategicrelations.com. Go to the contact page to ask your questions, or join us on the newsletter where we have more materials, additional information, and the opportunity for group coaching. So you can hear from me directly, or you can hear from other people on our team to really get to peak performance. I'm here to help you transform business relationships into profits, and that's profits far and beyond the monetary profit, which includes, its influence, strength, power in the marketplace. Anyway, thanks for listening, and I'll see you on the next podcast.